Good evening, everyone. I am I, I am Diovana. This is my colleague Ludo. Thank you for being here. Although the weather is quite nice outside, thank you so much for joining us. This evening, we will start our presentation. Okay, so this is me, Diovana. I will be your host for tonight. This is our team, Expat Housing Network. We are all expats, and we are here to help you to buy your dream home in the Netherlands. Let's go through. So the goal of today. What are we going to do tonight? It's to talk to you about the whole buying process in the Netherlands. How does it work? What you have to do? What are the steps? And inform you about everything and give you all the information you need to know to be able to buy your house in the Netherlands. We will also answer all your questions. Just so you know, by the end of this presentation, I believe in 1 day or two, you're going to receive the recording of this presentation and also the presentation itself. So you will receive on your emails. I would like you to wait until the end of the presentation to ask all your questions. You please do ask them. We will answer them all. So feel free to do that. And as I told you, we will share everything with you afterwards. Here we go. I believe a lot of you are talking about the housing market, especially now during Corona times. What we haven't seen since last year, since everything has started, is that the market is going more crazy than we thought it would go. We thought people would be afraid to buy or something would happen, but no, it's going quite good actually. It's getting better and better. Not for the ones who are buying. Sorry, it's getting a bit more expensive and expenses every month, but the market's not going down, which is good for the people who already bought a house or are wanted to sell the house. But the selling of the houses are going pretty much true. There's no impact whatsoever because of Corona. Actually, it's getting even better than last year. So just for you to have an idea how high is going. So we would like to talk to you as well about how the regions affect the price of the house. Here in Eindhoven, we have different prices than the cities around and the whole region around. You can see that, you probably already saw that, and how does it work. It's also quite difficult to find a house to compete in this market. There's a lot of people that want to buy and not enough houses in the market, which makes a bit more difficult for everyone to be able to buy the house. And one of the things we always tell our clients, it's if you're thinking about buying a house because you're going to be here for a year or so, don't do it. We always tell them to buy a house for at least 3, I would say even 3 to 5 years, because you're going to pay a lot for the house. And we are not sure, we can never give you a guarantee that you get your money back in a year or so. What we've seen so far is the market, it is going up and up. It's getting very expensive. It didn't go down for the past, I would say, since 2014 or so, 13 or so. So we're not expecting that nothing will happen. It won't slow down or anything like that, but we can never guarantee you anything. So if you think about buying a house, thinking about also long term, at least to stay at least 1 to 3 to 5 years with your house. So there are 7 steps that we're going to tell you about the process of buying a house. We're going to talk to you about the mortgage advice and how does it work, how to do your search, viewings and research properties, how to submit your offer, what do you have to look for in an offer, what do you have to take care of it, how does the inspection appraisal works, what you can find in the purchase contract that you're going to receive after your offer gets accepted, and what are the transfer deed and the mortgage deeds, the ones you have to go to the notary for. So mortgage advice. I bet a bunch of you already have been to the bank or talked to a mortgage advisor. If you haven't, please do before you do anything. You need to make sure that you are clear on your financial, that before you put an offer, that everything is sorted. In the Netherlands, there is no pre-approval mortgage, but you can have a very clear conversation with the bank and a mortgage advisor about how much you can borrow. So we do have a kind of a calculation in our website as well that you can check. You can more or less see how does it work, but you can make a little working with the numbers and take your salary, the average 5 times your yearly gross salary, and then you have more or less what you can borrow from the bank. Of course, it depends on how things are put in your salary. It depends if you have a bonus or if you have a 13 salary. It really depends. So that's why it's very important for you to talk to a mortgage advisor or with the bank and to make clear what are the possibilities for you. Also, the mortgage advisor or the bank, they will talk to you about the interest rates and then what kind of interest rates there are, what kind of mortgage you are able to have, depend on your income, and what are the penalties, and if you have to pay anything, if you want to pay off your mortgage, or for how many years you can freeze your interest rates, which is possible. So those kind of things you can talk to the mortgage advisor, and then he will clarify everything to you. I would like to talk to you about your choice of having a bank or a mortgage advisor. A lot of people ask me what are the advantages of having a mortgage advisor, since it seems that it's expensive than the bank itself. It is expensive than the bank itself. The difference is really that if you go to one bank, they will give you their interest rates, and that's it, nothing else, and the possibilities that they have. If you go to a mortgage advisor, I believe in the Netherlands you have around 38 to 42 institutions that you can get a mortgage from. So the mortgage advisor do have access to all of them, and then he will present to you all the other possibilities that will maybe be better for you with your income, or the kind of visa you have, or the kind of time you need the mortgage, or for how much you want to borrow. So that's the difference. And most of them you don't have access. We don't have access, only the mortgage advisors. And that's pretty much the difference. You get a much more a visualization what you can borrow and from where. The possibilities are bigger. So this is Robin. Robin is a mortgage advisor, and that's exactly what I was talking to you about it, what he will do for you as a mortgage. He will share all the information, all the regarding the mortgage, all the best conditions and rates. He will help you prepare all your documents. There are different documents for different banks and different institutions, so you need to provide different documents. He will do the whole mortgage application for you as well. Once your offer gets accepted, once you have your purchase agreement signed, he will do the whole process until you get your mortgage. And he will also be chasing the banks, and because you do have dates that you have to fulfill, so he will be the ones responsible for that. So how do you start your search? In the Netherlands, we do have a website called Funda. I believe most of you know already, funda.nl. I would say 99% of the properties are on Funda. They pretty much everything there is available, it is in there. So you can check it, you can make your appointments, you can call, you can have the informations. You can also, what I always tell my clients, if they don't know the neighborhoods, but they do like a house a lot, go around the neighborhoods, ask about it. There are many websites in the Netherlands where you can have proper information about the neighborhoods itself, such as even robbery or how many schools they have, what kind of schools, what kind of, if they have a lot of families, if they have more single people, all those kinds of information you can find on the City Hall website from the city you're looking for here in Eindhoven or the cities around Helmond, Veldhoven, Heldrop. You can find them all in those websites. And that's very important when you are buying a house, because if you don't have kids, for example, and want to live next to the city, that's something you can check it out, which neighborhoods there are less families maybe, or if you have kids that you want to have better school or stuff like that. So that's on those websites, you can pretty much find everything. A lot of them are in English. People don't know about it, but they are, especially in Eindhoven, they have many of them in English where you can get the whole information about the neighborhoods. As I told you about Funda, there are also the Facebook pages from the agents. They do put a lot of information and a lot of the houses about, I would say, an hour before they put on Funda on their on the platforms, on their social medias platform, and then afterwards they'll be on Funda anyway. It is quite quickly. It's about an hour and a half, no more than that, and then you can see them on Funda. So you can subscribe to those as well if you like, and then you can see the properties maybe before. By now, you probably know that you need to be quick to get your appointments because it's quite busy. It's a lot of people want to buy it. So please pay attention. You do get notifications from Funda if you like to get your house, the house with the price you need in the neighborhood you want, the kind of house you want. So it's very important to do that. So with or without an agent, would you like to buy a house with the help of an agent or without? So I am an agent, so I'll always say, yes, you should, because we are great, especially in Expat Housing Network. We're very good. But you can do it yourself. You can do it. You can. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not really rocket science. You can do it yourself. With an agent, I'll tell you, with us, we are expats ourselves. We have done that for ourselves. I've been in the same situation where you are, twice actually, plus all the rental situation. So I believe we do have the knowledge, not just the knowledge of the market and speaking Dutch and knowing the whole network, but the experience of being in that situation as an expat, as someone that is not from here, and that makes a huge difference. Care, I love to use that word. We do care that you find your home, that you find your family home, that you feel comfortable. And it's not just about buying a house, it's really about buying something that you will feel like you are at home. So that's, for me, it's the big difference of we using an agent. Besides that, all the documents in Dutch, all the offers, all the things that you have to look for, that you have to put in an offer that will make your offer better, the whole negotiation, the fact that you are with someone at the house, that makes a huge difference when you are buying a house. And if you're buying something old, for example, getting all the house inspected and those kind of things that a lot of people don't know about it. So that's the huge difference about having an agent. Or even questions about the neighborhood, or even questions in pardon, if something happens with the house itself, or if the seller does something that's not allowed, for example, choosing a notary, those kind of information is something that a lot of people don't have. And that's when an agent comes along and would help you, secure you, will make you feel comfortable and make those steps, because yeah, we have been there. Viewing and researching properties. Condition of the properties, found out about the landlord, VVA, neighborhoods, asking about your neighbor, the neighbors of the house, request property documents, and price research. Why is that so important? So let's say you went on Funda, you saw a house, you liked it a lot, you make an appointment, it's time to go there, right? So when you go there, there are many of things you could ask about the house. First of all, you have to ask about the documents. There are many documents that comes with the house. house, and many others that comes when you're going to see an apartment. You have in the Netherlands, you have, like in many other countries, you have the owner association you call VVA in Dutch, and they have many of documents that you can ask after you've been to the viewing, or even before. I like to ask before, so I tell my clients what you're looking for in the apartment, how much money they have in savings, for example, to renew something in the building. In those documents, if it's a house or an apartment, you also can find how old, for example, the boiler is, when did they do the last maintenance, if the house had a leakage, if it was fixed, when was fixed, if the house is insulated. Those kind of information you only find in the documents if you ask for it. Normally, the real estate agents, they don't send it to you. And in there you also find some information about who are the neighbors, if you have, I don't know, a single couple next door, or if you have a family with children. So those things, it will be very important to know about the property you're buying. And that, when it comes, the condition is really something that you can find out in those documents, and see if it's really worth it to put an offer for that house, especially if the documents comes with many problems. So then you know more about it. It's very, let's say you go there, you went there, you like it, you saw the documents, everything is fine, you were okay paying the VVA, for example, the owner association, or if it's a house, there's nothing to pay for it. Well, some houses do have a little fee. There are houses, especially in Eindhoven, that they have around, I would say 45 euros per trimester to pay the parking place that is behind the house, where the kids can play as well. So you have your parking place and at that area with a gate, and that area is kind of closed, so you pay for that, for the maintenance of that. Some houses there have that. So that's also VVA, but it's less complex than an apartment owner association. But it's so you went to the house, you saw the documents, you were okay with it, you like it a lot, you would like to make an offer. So I hear a lot of gossiping around. There's a lot of people also ask me, especially when they become my clients in the beginning. The first question they always ask me is like, how much do I have to bid? 10%, 20% more above the asking price? I'm like, no, it's not. That's not how it works. You should do your price research, try to find out for how much the houses around the neighborhood were sold, what were the conditions of the house, and based on that price research, you do make an offer, and then you see, because then you will be able to pay what the house is worth. And it's very important that you pay what is worth it, because you will need a appraisal report, an evaluation report, to make sure the house is worth what you're paying, so the bank can give you a mortgage. Otherwise, you won't be able to have it. So there's no percentage or anything like that. What there is a price research. Of course, there are crazy people, a lot of them, I have to say, that are bidding insanely because they cannot wait anymore to get a house, or the rental contract is getting into the end and they need to leave the apartment or something like that. And they will just come with, I don't know, let's say the house costs 300,000 and you put an offer of 310, 315 or something like that, and someone came with 340, 350. It doesn't mean they're going to get the mortgage for it. More likely, they will get the mortgage for around 315 or so, and the rest they're going to have to pay cash. So that's why you have to be very careful in doing your price research, especially if you don't have any cash to pay more. You need to be able to, you want to have 100% of mortgage. So it doesn't matter if you overbid way too much, because you won't be able to put that on the report and you won't be able to get the 100% financial. But I will explain you a bit further about that. This is Alana, my colleague Alana. She is the buying consultant and agent. And what we will do for you, what Alana will do, and me and Ludo and our whole team, is inform you and assist you during the full process, literally the full process. We are there with you every step to help you and make everything easy, or at least not so crazy like the market, and make things smoothie for you. We will do the search, schedule viewings, enjoying the viewings as well. Of course, depend on the package you choose. We have package that we are there with you. We have package that we're not there with you, but we are there through the whole process. We do the properties research and price research as well, and then we can get an agreement about the price and negotiate that price for you, make the offer, make everything ready for you, and as fair as possible, of course, and negotiate everything for you to get to your house. After you get the house, we're scheduling everything, the notary, appraisal, technical inspection if it's necessary, and also be there, as I said, with all the meetings. Review all the Dutch and legal documents together with you. We always make a review of the documents before and once the offer gets before the offer gets accepted, because before we send the offer, to see if everything is really okay, because afterwards when you get an offer accepted, it will be a little bit more difficult to get out of the deal. So it's better that you see everything on the documents before. So that's why buying an agent is so important, that you have someone that can assist you with literally everything. And I would say, especially with price research and negotiation, it's very important that you have a clear offer and that the offer protects you, and that the offer is not like the settled like once, but that protects you, because if something happens, you don't have to pay any penalties, you can get out of the deal, or you can move on to the next property. Submit an offer, final purchase price. So the final purchase price comes with our price research, right? So in that price research, we're gonna share with you what is our knowledge of the price and what we think you should pay for the house. Of course, the money is yours. You're free to do whatever you like. I've been there where I have the clients that didn't want to pay what the house was worth. They want to pay less, and I told them, like, many times, you're not getting for this price, it won't happen. And I did have clients that want to pay way too much for the house, and I told them, like, we don't have to, you will get it for less. Some of them do listen to me, some of them don't, which is quite funny. But the one who wanted to pay more did listen to me, and he ended up paying a little bit less, and we got the house for a very fair price. It was quite nice. But that's where we do, we negotiate for the final purchase price for the house. What are the dissolving clauses? Dissolving clauses. So the dissolving clause is what we're going to put in an offer that protects you when your offer gets accepted. So first of all, we have to see all the documents, of course. If you went to a house and the house is new, I would say from 2010, 2008 or so, there's no need for technical inspection. It's quite a new house. Probably nothing will be wrong, or at least not major things will be happening with the house, such as roof or completely broken frames around the house or something like that, because it's quite a new house. So we can leave that out of the offer. The technical inspection is always your choice, of course, but we always advise our clients that there's no need. If the house is about 10, 15 years old, that's okay. It's also important that you have in the offer how much you will finance. So if you need the 100% of the price, you bid the house. It's very important that you put that subject to 100% finance. Otherwise, if you don't put it that, it's not going to be in your purchase agreement, and it means that you don't need the financial clause. That means that if you don't get your mortgage approved by the bank, they can charge you 10% of the price of the purchase price, and you have to pay that penalty yourself in cash to the seller if you don't put a financial clause in your offer. So there are people that put that they only need 50% of the financial price because they will pay the rest in cash or some other way, but be aware that if you need 100% mortgage, you need to put your financial clause. And that's also why it's very important to do your price research, because if you pay way much that the house is really worth it, you're not going to get the evaluation report with that price. So that means you only be able to finance what you get on the evaluation report. And let's say you paid 300 and the valuation report came with 292, for example. The other 8,000 you will have to pay yourself. You're not going to be able to borrow from the bank. Just so you know, that's why the clauses are so important. We also always put the clause as a notary choice by the buyer, so you can choose the notary you'd like to go. we as a company, we always send our clients 3 quotations of different notaries so they can choose. I always tell my clients, just pick the cheapest one. They all do the same job. They all do the same contract. You don't have to pay much for a lot for it. So just if you do it yourself, go for the cheapest, you'll be fine. The law works quite good in this country. So you're not going to have any trouble. And be aware of all that. What can I say? Tell you more about the offer. You will have the clause as such a technical inspection if it's an older house. You will have the financial clause, the notary, also the transfer date. When would you like to move in to the house? So most of the house, you're not able really to choose the date. They will give you a date when you are in the viewing. They will ask you, moving date is, we are in half February now, no, more than half February, almost March. My clients are seeing house now that they, today we saw one that the moving date is September already. So that's quite far, which for my clients is fine because they're comfortable where they are. But a lot of people want to move in early. So be aware that a lot of time, in this case, there was no way we could negotiate the transfer date because the family bought another house and the house is going to be ready only in September. But yeah, that's something you have to ask the seller, when is the moving date? And if you want to choose a different one, be aware that they might choose another offer because someone else will accept that date. For example, my clients, they are okay with September. So not many people will be because it's a long time. So we hope to get that house for them. So that's something that will be in the offer as well. And also in the offer, you're going to have the 10% bank guarantee, which means that you can borrow 10% of the purchase price from the bank. That's something a mortgage advisor will instruct you as well, and will do it for you. And if something happens, if you wanted to pull out of the deal, and if you have the mortgage, if you don't get your mortgage approved, that's fine because you had the subject to financial, so you can pull out of the deal and not pay any penalties. But if you just wake up and decided that's not your dream house anymore, unfortunately, you just can't. You will have to pay 10% fine to the seller to get out of the deal. Timelines. Let me come back to this one. Timelines and deadlines. What is that? That's after you sign your purchase agreement, you will have, you do have the deadline to submit your offer. A lot of houses now, because of the amount of people they are seeing houses, when you, let's say you go to a house on Wednesday, they most likely have 2 or 3 days of viewings, and the next Monday or Tuesday by 12 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you will have to send an offer. Always advise my clients that we send offer by almost in the time that they gave it to us. If it's 12, we try to send just a bit before and find out about all the offers they have and see if we can make our offer better. But yeah, that's a big deadline. And you also have the deadline for the mortgage itself. Once the purchase agreement is signed, you have about 6 weeks to get your mortgage approved. So that's something your mortgage advisor will do it, and you have access to those documents and do the whole process for you. And we, as an agent, we also work in that with you and make sure that he gets everything done by the time that needs to be done. You also have a deadline for paying the 10% bank guarantee. That's also something that will be in your purchase agreement, and something that we are also going to keep track of it with your mortgage advisor or the bank. So far you have viewing a house, look at the documents, get your offer ready, make the price research, get your price, and then submit an offer. So that's more or less the timelines. And for that to happen, it's really, we do gonna have a timeline that you're going to see now, but it can be, I have so many different experiences. It can be a month, it can be a week, not to the whole process, of course, because more or less it will take you about, if you see in a house today and put an offer next week, and most likely you will move in April, mid-April, beginning of June by now, because it takes you anyway about 6 weeks to get your mortgage approved. And then you have more 2 weeks before that to sign the purchase agreement, do technical inspection and all those kind of things. So that's about 8 weeks already, and then you can only go to the notary once your mortgage it's approved, of course. But we're going to talk about a timeline later, and then you can see it's better when you see it step by step. Inspection and appraisal. So the technical inspection, we're going to talk about technical inspection, the survey, and then the foundation inspection. We don't have that much, that almost never in Eindhoven because of, we have that a lot, but it is in Amsterdam area because, you know, the whole canals and everything, the houses are literally built in mud. So that's why you have the foundation inspection. We don't have that here. Appraiser and contractor. So in that time your offer already got accepted, so it's time to get those people to the house if it's necessary, to get the process move on and get ready to sign your purchase agreement. This is Michelle. She's the appraiser. What does the appraiser do? So in our case, in our company, we do schedule the appraiser for you. So the appraiser goes to the house and makes sure that the price that we paid for the house it will be in the evaluation report, because you do need to have a valuation report. That's mandatory. If you work with us, with anybody, if you work by yourself, you're going to have an appraiser coming to the house and prove to the bank that the house is worth it, what you offer. And in that case, you're going to be able to get the mortgage. If they put it less, you're going to have to pay the difference if you want to continue the process. If they put it more, good for you. You might be able to to borrow a bit more or do some constructions. It really depends on what kind of mortgage you're going to get. So but that's basically what the appraiser does. He will look at comparable properties around, that comes with the price research again, and see what are the current conditions. If it's an apartment, they will look at all the documents as well from the VVA and see what they're going to do to the building in the future. And this time is also the time that you tell us and the appraiser if you want to do any kind of renovations in the house, because that adds value. So that will be also in her report in this case, and her report in this case, and then he will evaluate the house a bit higher. Be aware that it doesn't mean if you expend 50,000 euros renovating the house, you're going to get 50,000 euros more as evaluation of the house. No, that's not how it works, but of course you get more, and that can be checked as well with the appraiser. But this is a time when you say it's time for me to bring, and we're going to do a renovation. We want to bring to the house and a constructor as well, and he will see how much it's going to cost to do what we want. I have done this for myself. I have renovated my whole house. So we had someone come before we sign everything to see how much it would cost and if we could afford it, and if we could borrow some of the money from the bank, and how much would add to the price, to the value of the house in the future for the bank. Give me the money actually. And but we did do everything before we signed the purchase agreement. So we were more comfortable and getting the mortgage like that. So that's basically what the appraiser does. He will make sure that prove to the bank that what you pay for the house, it's worth it, and then the bank is ready to give you the mortgage. The building construction, the technical inspector. What do they do? The technical inspector comes to the house. It's basically one of the first ones that come to the house after it gets accepted, and they will check the whole condition of the house. They literally stay there for about an hour, taking pictures of every inch of the house and checking every wall, every corner, every window, the CV and the boiler, those kind of things. And when did they did the maintenance, whatever they did to the house, they ask the questions, they look at the documents again, and they will put all of that in a report. So, and then you get a report a few hours later, and normally the clients are there with the technical inspection. So are we as agents. And he or she will tell you right away what is wrong and what should be done, and afterwards they will share the report and how much it cost as well. So let's say, well, I can give an example that's easy. We have been to a house once that the offer got accepted, which was great for our client, but then the technical inspector came and looked at the ceiling, the roof, and the roof, it was just it was terrible, really. It was a terrible roof. Not even the buyer didn't know it was so bad. The seller didn't know it was so bad. And we ended up getting around 15,000 euros in the report as a because it needed to be completely renovated. So that was quite a lot. And it was not just like it needed to be in the future, let's say in 5 or 10 years, which that's okay for a house that is quite old because it was from 1940 or so. No, the technical inspector told us that the house needed to be the roof needed to be fixed right away in minimum questions of months, no more than a year. So that was a big amount. So what we did, we talked to the seller and we negotiate half. So my client really wants the house, the seller really wanted to sell it. So they decided to take half of the price from the purchase price, and my client accepted. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time you make an offer and get it accepted in technical inspection, that is finding something wrong and then we will negotiate it. No, a lot of sellers, a lot of owners don't negotiate at all because they just don't. They just can, sometimes they can, well, it happened to me in my house. My house is quite old. And we found a lot of ugly things, but we knew we would renovate the whole house. So, but it's my job, right? So I try to negotiate for myself as well, and make them pay for half of fix it some stuff before, or just, I tried, but they said, no, if you don't want like that, the next one we take it. And that was true. They had more than 10 offers. So I couldn't take the risk. So I just said, it's fine. We're signing everything. We accept it the way it is. But I knew I would renovate everything, so it's not a big deal. So that does happen, that the people don't negotiate whatsoever, and but that's why you need a technical inspection report. That's why it's very important for you to have. So then you know what's happening in the house. And what can be fixed, how much it costs. Also on those reports, they're quite nice because they put a kind of a timeline, how much, not how much, but what do you have to fix in 1 to 0 to 1 year, 2 to 5, 5 to 10. So then you can see everything in details for the report. So you, in the report, the technical inspection happened before you sign the purchase agreement. So then if there is something that can be negotiated, you can do it before you sign and then change the price or something like that. Or the seller can also fix it. It happened before with us. We found stuff on the house from one of our clients that was not good. And the seller say, I'm not negotiating, I'm fixing it. Because he was a handyman himself, worked with the construction. And he said, that's fine, I will fix it, everything will be fine. So that was also something that happens. The purchase contract. What is the purchase contract? The purchase contract is the deal between you and the seller. It's what is going to happen with the house and you, and what are the prices, the deadlines to get the mortgage, and also the cool-off period. After you sign the purchase agreement, you do have 3 working days that you can just give up not going through with the deal. Just say that, let's say you woke up a day after you signed everything and you think, well, I'm not really sure anymore if I want this house. I think I was too anxious or something like that to get a house. So you could just give up completely and not say, you don't even have to say why, but you do have only 3 days for that. After that, you have to pay the penalty. So just be aware. So I advise my clients to sign the contract on a Wednesday, so they have Tuesday, Friday, and Mondays to decide if they change their minds or something. So it's a bank. It cannot the 3 cool-off days, cool-down period days cannot be in the weekends or holidays. So you have, if you sign it on a Wednesday, you have technically 5 days to decide what you want. And as I said, in the contract, you're going to have the whole period and dates to secure your financing, to get everything ready to be at the notary. So that's what you're going to see in the purchase agreement. And sometimes you also see clause as the house was visited by a technical inspection. So the seller, the buyer did do a technical inspection and didn't find any problems. You also will find the clause. There are a few clauses that I don't like it when they are there, but they're not illegal. It's just because I want to protect my clients. But they have clause as the house is old, you know about it. So basically don't come and cry in the 6 months when you find some crazy wall or something around the wall. It's not illegal. It's fine to have them. I just don't like it and try for my clients to make the contract better for them and take them away. I'm not always successful, but yeah, that's how the contracts work. Once the purchase agreement is signed by you and by the seller, the the purchase agreement goes to the notary and the mortgage advisor, and then your whole process started with the notary and the mortgage. The notary. The notary is the one that you make your mortgage deed and transfer deed. What's your mortgage deed? Is your deal between the agreement between you and the bank, and the transfer deed again is you and the seller selling the house. Is the agreement between you and the seller. The whole process that is paid, that the house from that day is yours. What I like about the notary in the Netherlands also is that they do a kind of a checkup in the house, not just making a contract, but they look all the documents from past years, from when the house first was built, and if there was any selling process between, they will look all those documents as well to see if anything was wrong at that time and they can fix it or something like that. If there's an apartment, they will do the same. They'll look all the documents of the owner association as well. If there is the owner association in the Netherlands, it has to be a company, or is an organization with KVK number, as they call as a company number. So they look to all those documents as well, if there is really a company, if there is someone really taking care of. And so it's not just preparing those two deals. So it's a bit more than that, and they look all, and also they take care of all the payments. So you are not in the Netherlands, you cannot pay anything regarding to buying a house or selling a house outside of the notary, which is quite good because protects you a lot. So let's say you saw a house for 300 and someone just came and told you, well, if you pay me 5,000 more, we don't have to put in the contract or something like that. Of course, it's not allowed, but then because the notary do all the payments, so that the chance of that happens also are quite small. So you are protecting on that as well. So that's the whole process of the notary. And the notary also will find a translator. You need a translator if you don't speak Dutch, fluent Dutch. You need a translator. You can choose in your own language. Piece of advice, take an English one, much cheaper. I'm from Brazil, I speak Portuguese. My first house, we took a Portuguese speaker, and oh my God, it cost me like 500 euros. And then the second one, like, no, we go with the English one, it was 200. So just a piece of advice. But yeah, you need to have a translator, it's mandatory. So he will come into play once the purchase agreement is signed. So the purchase agreement will be sent to him, and then the whole process in the notary part will start on that day. You get emails, you get the date to be there, you get all the arrangements as well. And as I said, it will find a translator for you. Also about the notary, also the whole communication with the seller will be through the notary, which is quite good as well, because the seller, after you sign your purchase agreement, the seller is not allowed to do anything else with the house, not even painting a wall. The only things he is allowed to do is fix something that broke or something like that. But even though he needs to let the buyer know, to let you know about it, the agent and the buyer and everybody. So it's also to protect you. Transfer and handover. So by now your mortgage got accepted. The notary already got the email from the bank saying that everything is fine, and they can already work in the whole mortgage deed and everything else. So you are good, you have no problems anymore regarding financial. The notary, there is something else I want to talk about the notary. Let me come back. The notary also will do all work with all the taxes that you do have to pay when you buy a house. As far probably you know by now, you have to pay, you can only have 100% mortgage regarding to the mortgage of the house itself, the price of the house. You cannot have 110%, for example, and use the 10% to pay some expenses of furniture or buy a car or something like that. You could about 10-12 years ago or so, but not anymore. It's only the maximum price is 100% of the purchase price. So the notary also will calculate all the taxes that you have to pay, that the seller have to pay regarding the house itself. For example, taxes, transfer taxes, if you are older than 35, and if it's not your first house in the Netherlands, they will calculate all the water taxes, sewage taxes, those kind of things. Because normally in the Netherlands, you pay all those taxes around, I think I'm going to pay now, end of February, beginning of March, and you get the big, oh God, it's big, the big invoice to pay about your house. You pay the land taxes that you pay every year to the government, and then you pay sewage, water taxes. I think that's basically it. And then the notary will, but you have to pay it once. So let's say you see a house now, but you move only in June. So what it means is that the seller already paid the taxes. And then when you get the keys in June, you're going to pay from 1st of June to 31st of December. And the notary is the one who's going to do all the calculation. And then he's going to send you a big invoice. You're going to pay to the notary, and then the notary will pay everybody else, your mortgage advisor, me, for example, or the appraiser, all those taxes that you have to pay regarding to buying a house. The notary will do all the negotiation and send the invoice to you. So that's something. Then you don't pay anything. As I told you before, it's not even allowed to pay outside of the notary. So that's something the notary does as well. Transfer and handover. So before, it's already June, and it's time for you to get the keys. Just so you know, you don't pay your mortgage until you get your keys. So if you're going to a house now and they said to you that the transfer is in June, it means that you only start to pay your house in June, and almost in 95% of the other expenses only in June. Most likely going to pay the technical inspector. In about 14 days, he's at the house. After he's at the house, some appraisers wait into the notary to get paid. But when the transfer date is quite long, more than 4 months or so, they do ask to be paid in the next month or so. But that's always negotiable with the appraiser, with the valuation. So, but the mortgage itself, you only start to pay your monthly payments in June, and all the other taxes regarding the houses, I told you, the transfer taxes, the water, sewage, and property taxes, those things you only pay in June when the notary sent, when you get your keys. It has actually, you pay a day before, maximum a day before it has to be paid. It has to be in the notary's bank account. So it's time for you to get your keys. It's June. Let's say your appointment by the notary is at 11 o'clock in the morning. What happens before that, if the house is not that far from the notary, around an hour and a half before, you go into the house with the seller, with the agents of the seller, the buying agents, if you have one as well, and the seller itself. And then you go there and you're going to have a final inspection in the house. Why? Because the house has to be at the same state as you saw there in February. So one thing is seeing a house full of furniture. One thing is seeing a house, believe me, without furniture. Is very different, and you find some things you don't want to find it. And as I told you before, they are not allowed to change anything in the house after you sign the purchase agreement. So the house has to be in the same state. So that's why you have 99% of the times they are very good. We did have some weird things happening before. I had ones that they just broke a whole wall of the kitchen because they didn't like it anymore after they. So then we went there, And I'm like, where's the wall? There was a wall here. I was like, oh, we never liked that wall. The seller said, I'm like, no, you just can't do that. That's not. So they have to rebuild the wall for my clients and make everything proper. It was bizarre, like it was before. But in the end, everything went fine. We had once that the water was not. Those are the things you check. For example, the water was not getting warm on the day of the final inspection. So I was like, well, the water is not getting warm, so something is wrong. So we went to the third floor and see if the CV and everything was connected or whatever. So nothing was working. So we couldn't go to the notary. So the seller called someone. At the end, the CV was just not plugging in. So everything went fine. But those are the things that you do check. As I told you, 99% of the time, the house will be great. Everything will be fine. Maybe not as clean as you'd like to, but yeah, they will take. You can see everything, and if you a lot of times you have the possibility to buy stuff from the seller. When you see the house, they will also send you that document with some movables that you can buy, some furniture or curtains, those kind of things. And those things, then we check if everything's there, if all the windows are working, and the water and everything else. And normally, a lot of sellers, they make like a big box or a big document from all the documents at the house, from the house since the beginning, and they share with the buyer. And then you have all the manuals, or if there is some kind of guarantee. For example, if they put solar panels a year before selling the house, probably most likely the solar panels will have 10-20 years guarantee. So that guarantee stays within the house. So the guarantee is from the house, not from the seller of the buyer, is from the house. So all those guarantees will pass to you from anything, from a kitchen, from my first house, we put a new kitchen, and then after 3 years we sold it. So the kitchen has 15 years guarantee. So the seller, the buyer, got the rest of the guarantee. We gave them a big box with all the documents, and they can contact the kitchen company in case something goes wrong with the kitchen, for example. So those kind of things is what you do on the final inspection. And also get the meters from the water, gas, and electricity, because from that day on, they are your responsibility, right? So what the agents do, they fill up a form, final inspection form it calls, and then everybody, if everything's fine, everybody's going to sign everything, and that form will be sent to the notary as well, to you, to the agents, to everybody, to the seller, to the buyer. And then after that, you can go to the notary. And those that normally, if before Corona, it was quite nice because you would go to the notary with the seller, and then you'd be in a room, everybody together, and congratulating one another. It's quite a nice thing. But with the whole Corona thing, and we as an agent would be there as well. But with the Corona thing, it's not allowed anymore. So most likely the seller will be at the notary about 2 days before even. To sign everything, and then on the day itself, that was in the purchase agreement contract, you will be at the notary and sign by yourself with a translator together. And sometimes, for example, I am allowed, sometimes I'm not. It really depends how things are getting. If the numbers are getting better, they let me in. If the numbers of the corona infections are getting worse, I'm not allowed anymore. So it's a bit sad. But that's what basically we do at the notary. And then you go there, they will read what you already received via email, your mortgage deed and transfer deed, and go through all those documents with you. The translator will be there and explain you everything as well. And then also with the invoice, and show you what you have paid and for what and what and what. And then you sign everything, and then you are in the owner of your house. Then you're just good to move in. That's all what you do on the day of the handover, the day you get your keys. Landlord liabilities. So first of all, I want to start to say that this is a very gray zone. There is after you move in, let's say you move in today, you got your keys, it's time to move in, and then in about a week or so, you get a leakage. So most likely that thing was already there, and there was not so much rain that period you saw the house and then until you get the keys, for example. So the water didn't go in, but now it's in. So what you do, you call the seller, and he has to fix it. So that's why it's a gray zone. It has to be proof as well that you did do it, that just didn't happen because it's a house from 1950s and that can happen, or if there was something that could be prevented. So what my experience with that is that most of the landlords, the sellers, are quite nice, and when something happens you can easily call them and they will go and talk to you and fix it. I never had a bad experience with that, but it is a gray zone. There is not, for example, a law that tells them that they have to fix it, but there is also this landlord liability of 2 months saying that they should fix it, you see? So it really depends. But of course, if you are if you are using the wash machine, not the dishwasher, and then from nowhere it broke. How it happened? That happens before the client, and from somewhere it was just broken, and then he called me like, did you call the seller? Because it was working when we were there, because I actually saw it. It was running by the time we were there. He took everything away with him, the seller, and then he turned it on a few, like 20 minutes before we got in the house, just to clean it inside, to make it nice for the buyer. And then he's like, no, but well, I will call him. So the seller went there, and what happened was that my client didn't see that there was some, I don't know what it was, a kind of a ball or something with a cover, and there were some coins inside. I don't know how, but those coins got in the sewage, and oh God, it was a disaster. So you see, that's not the seller fault. That's my client's fault. So in the end they just the seller was quite nice, told him what to do and what kind of things could be done. But that's the gray zone, where the gray zone gets in. Of course, if it's something major, they have to fix it, and that's it. But those are the landlord liabilities. Basically, you have 2 months to test the whole house. I always tell my clients, turn it on, all your heatings, everything, the water, everything you can use it, even before the 2 months. And then if something's wrong, contact the seller. Most likely everything will be fine, and it will fix it for you, and that'll be great. But yeah, that's the gray zone. So this is the buying timeline. It's quite nice for you to see about everything we talked to. You see, start, search. I'm doing with my finger like you can see, but you can't see. Sorry. That's why you see me moving. But you see the start, and when you do your search on Funda, and by the time you're going to submit your offer and gets approved, and then you see the appraisal and technical inspection. They come before you sign your purchase contract. A lot of not companies, but a lot of people send the appraiser after the purchase agreement is signed. I personally don't like it. I like before, because then we have 300% sure that the house is worth that price, and then you can sign your purchase agreement like breathe, and then you know the house is worth it and you made a good deal. So our company we send it before the signing of the purchase agreement. So then you see you have the appraiser and technical inspection, signing the purchase agreement, and then you start your mortgage application. So that when the contract goes to the notary and then you sign, you have those 3 days cooling off period that I told you, that you can just change your mind. You don't need excuse or anything. You can just throw everything away. You don't pay anything. Well, you will pay the appraiser and the technical inspection though, but you don't have to proceed. There is no penalty, the 10%. And then we put an average of 4 weeks, because it is sometimes even sooner though. I have clients that get mortgage approved in 2.5, 3 weeks, which is quite good. I did have clients who used the whole 6 weeks, and we were a bit nervous, but it was just because it was actually last year at the beginning of Corona, when people didn't know much about it, and a lot of people in the banks actually didn't go to work or got sick, and they got really busy. So, but normally it's around 5, I would say 4 to 4.5 weeks, just to make you more comfortable. And then your mortgage is approval. State of completion is really when it's the time that you wait until you get your keys, and when they're gonna send you a final note with everything that you have to pay besides the mortgage, of course, because that's you're going to borrow from the bank. But mortgage advisor, you have to pay all the transfer taxes, sewage tax, bill taxes of the house that I told you, and then your agent if you have one. What else? Am I forgetting something? I am. Technical inspection you pay before. Appraiser, sometimes you are able to pay at the notary, otherwise you have to pay before. There is the taxes for the NHG as well. NHG is National Mortgage Guarantee. It means that if you buy a house that is maximum 325, you are able to get NHG. NHG is a kind of mortgage that has very low interest rates. It's really good actually, but you do pay a fee for it. It's 0.7%, right? 0.7%, yes, 0.7% of the price of the house. It's one-time fee that you have to pay. But you do get very low interest rates. And if something happens to you, if you lose your job, or if you have an accident and you're not able to work anymore, or if you get a divorce, those kind of things, you are protected. You're not going to lose your house. It's not that they're going to pay for you forever, of course, but you're not going to lose your house as well. They have different process. But I think the most attractive thing is actually the interest rate. It's about 1.3, 1.4. It's quite good. But it has to be a house maximum 325. Just keep that in mind. But you do pay to use that 0.7%. In the other mortgage, you don't pay it, but they have higher interest rate. And then it's time for you to get your keys to go to the house, and we put. You can see the 2 months. That's the end of the liability terms that you have, our gray zone. So that's when you can use everything and see how it goes. So here there is a clear one, more or less what it looks like. So then you can see how to proceed. This timeline after the offer, I would say, is quite consistent. But before that, it really depends on you and what are your expectations about buying a house and what kind of house and price you have in the competition. I have clients that we were in the first house, we got an offer accepted. I have clients that took. Well, we're still taking. I think we're about together for months already, but they have specifics. They want to live in a specific. They have, I believe, at the beginning we were literally at one street, and now we have 3. So they only want to live on those 3 streets. So it really depends on you and all your wishes that to make that happen faster or taking the time. But also depends how comfortable we are, if you are in a rush or not, those kind of things, right? Purchase costs. So those are the things you cannot borrow from the bank. Those are not included in your mortgage. As I told you, there you go. Transfer tax, 2% of the purchase price. If you buy a new building that no one never registered there before, you don't have to pay it. And also now with the whole Corona thing, the government has given there's a new discount, I would say, 2% that you don't have to pay for the transfer taxes if you are younger than 35, and if you never bought a house in the Netherlands. But also, let's say you are 33 and your partner is 41, for example, it means you still get 1% discount. You only pay 1% of the transfer taxes. So it doesn't have to be the both of you. And also, let's say your partner already bought a house in the past for himself or someone else, doesn't matter, and you never bought it, you also get 1%. He doesn't, for example, from the whole price, but you get 1%. So that's also helps. Be aware that from now into the 1st of April, I'll say 30th of March, you can buy a house of any price and get the 2% discount and not paying the transfer tax. But after April, it's maximum 400,000. So anything above that, doesn't matter how old you are, you will pay the 2% transfer tax. And I have to tell you, it hurts. It's very expensive. I bought my second house a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, and I had to pay it. It's just a lot. So now is a good time to buy because you don't have to pay that. that as well, which makes a huge difference because you need to have that in cash. Bank or the mortgage advisor. So we put around 1,500 and 3,400 because it really depends on the company you go. We know the bank, I think ABN charges around 1,800, 1,900. And mortgage advisor, it's really depends. I know ones that charge 2,000, one that charge 4. It really depends on you. And I believe with a mortgage advisor, you need to have a click because that you're going to talk a lot with that person about your financial. It's quite personal maybe. And yeah, it really depends what are you willing to pay. The mortgage broker or the bank, they are tax deductible. So you will get tax back in the next year when you do your taxes. I think it's around 38 to 41%. It really depends on your salary, but it's around that you get back from that price. Notary, it costs around 13 to 50. I think we are a bit updated with the 1350. It's a bit higher now. It's about 1450, I would say. But those doesn't. The translator is a bit below, so that's fine because those don't include the translator because it really depends which language you like. So we put an average for the English one, 250 to 300. If you want a different language, it more likely will cost more expensive, as I have paid before actually. Real estate. So the real estate, if you hire a real estate, most of them will charge 1 to 2% of the purchase price. We don't charge a percentage. We charge a fixed fee. It doesn't matter if you buy a house of 100,000 or if you buy 7 million, the price is a 7 million house is the same price as a fee fixed, and we also don't have a maximum of houses that you can see it or maximum offers we're going to send it. We don't believe in that. It's not that you're buying a jacket, you're buying a house. So there's just no fixed price or fixed time for you. No fixed. We have a fixed price. Sorry, it's the opposite. We have a fixed price, but there is no amount of houses you can see it or offers we can send it for you and help with it or price research we'll do. We will do it until you find your home and you're comfortable with what we're buying. So it's we're not gonna put a number on. You can only see 5 houses. We can only do the whole work for you for 5 houses. No, we're gonna do for 50 if it's necessary. I hope it's not, because a lot. But yeah, we're gonna do it for as long as you need us. And the translator, as I said, around 250, 300. The appraiser is 500, 600. Here in Eindhoven is 550. Technical inspector, we put an amount of 450 because there are companies that are more expensive, but the one we work normally, that's he's quite good. He's very available. He charged 375 with VAT actually. It also depends the size of the house, but that's the price for an average house. If you buy a house with 1,000 square meters, it will be a bit more expensive. And bank guarantee, 1% of the granted amount. The bank guarantee is the 10% you have to pay to the notary. You can also pay yourself from your own savings, but and the notary will give it back to you afterwards when you sign your mortgage deed and transfer deed on the day of the transfer. But most of the people use the bank and they borrow that amount from the bank and they charge an amount, of course, for you to be able to use their money. So those are the costs you need. We always tell people that's around 3 to 5% of the purchase price of the house that you need to have in cash to be able to pay it to continue the process. So if you're not paying the 2%, then you can work with 3%. So normally say 4 to 5%. So we can work with 2% as a number. When you see a house of 300, you have to imagine that you need 2 to 3% more in cash to pay the purchase cost that you cannot borrow from the bank. So this is it. It's time for our questions. Feel free, this is my email address. This is our website. Please take a look. We have many things, nice things there that you can read. And if you have any questions after today that you're just going to remember tomorrow or something like that, feel free to send me an email. Feel free to book an intake. It's free. We can guide you through it. If you're not ready yet, that's okay. We are here for you. I would love to help you. But if you just need some answers, that's okay as well. I hope you enjoy it. Now my colleague Ludo will help me. This is our, this is our social media. Sorry, Ludo. This is our social media that you can have a look and see. We have a bunch of pictures of our clients as well and all the process that we do. Now the questions.
There we go. So I see we already received some questions in the Q&A. We had, I think, 2 or 3 questions that I answered in the meantime.
Okay.
Some smaller questions. Let's start on the top. We have a question from Marco. Marco asks, are there any advantages or disadvantages for buying a house when you are EU or a non-EU member?
Well, I think a few years ago, yes, there was a difference, but now the banks don't really look that much anymore. If you have a visa, if you have a BSN number, it's enough. The only difference for the European people is that if you are Italian, you're not allowed to have a house, house here. You are allowed to have a house in Italy, of course, but if you have a mortgage there, you're not allowed to have here. But that's because of the government with Italy thing, but but that's basically it. Everybody can buy it as long as you have a BSN number, a working contract, of course, that can prove that you can pay the mortgage. There's no such a thing. Yeah, you can buy it.
All right, cool. Then we have the next question from an anonymous attendee. You were talking about the wall that was taken out in the meantime of signing the contract and actually having the delivery. Yeah. He or she asks, what happens if something changed between the signature and the final property inspection, but we like the change actually, so we want to keep the wall out?
Good for you, I would say. That makes my life very easy. If I'm your agent, I don't have to fight anyone. I don't have to delay. I don't have to delay the notary, and you didn't pay for the change. Even better.
So it's not mandatory to place it back, and then the buyer has to take it out again.
No, it's not mandatory. But if you want to, they have to fix it because it has to be the way we saw the house in the first place. So if you want, they have to it. So that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Right,
but if you don't, that makes everyone's life easy.
Exactly. Cool. The next question is from Leah. Leah asks, can the offer be withdrawn as long as the purchase agreement has not been signed yet?
Yes, it can. I have to tell you, it won't look good for you if you want to put another offer with the same company that is selling this house. Probably they won't take you serious anymore. But yes, you are allowed if you don't sign anything, that's fine. But yes, you can just take it back. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the verbal agreement is not a legal one.
No, and now the verbal, also with the verbal agreement, most of the real estate agents are, when the offer gets accepted, they are actually replying back, saying that in their email as well. Until the purchase agreement is not signed, that's not a valid. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Then we have a question from Adam. Adam says it was advised to make a price research to see what the house is worth, but if Adam is not mistaken, that will only help to see how much the maximum mortgage can be. Lately, he has offered 20 to 40K on top of the asking price, but lost the bidding. People seem to pay 40 to 60K more than the asking price. What would your advice be to do in order to figure out what would be
I have to say, it's not everywhere. It's not every time they're paying there. There are some neighborhoods in Eindhoven and around that people are going a bit more crazy than they should go. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that's if you need 100% mortgage, there's not much you can do though, because unless you have cash and want to pay more, that the house is worth it, there's not much you can do. You're going to, in this case, you're going to keep losing it because the appraiser, they will come to the house and make a report and give a specific price. If you offer more than that, or either you pay the difference or you don't sign the purchase agreement, and that's it, and you don't get the house. And there are a lot of people that are getting their savings and paying more just because they can't, or they can, or just because they don't want to wait anymore, or because a lot of people are saying that they have to pay 20 to 30 to 40K more. That's also a problem. I heard that a lot. And I think it's becoming like a ball. It's more like I have a lot of people telling me or asking me, I want to pay 20 more. And like, well, wait a second. It's not like that. We have to do the price research and see how it works. But there are a few neighborhoods that it's going automatically. I agree that it is happening. But unfortunately, if you don't have the money to put, and if the reports from the appraiser come with less, you will have to pay the difference or you're not getting it. That's how it works.
It's crazy.
But I also advise you not to do it though, because I'm afraid you're not going to get the money back so soon. That big difference, not what the appraiser will say, but the difference that they're paying more and more, those 40,000, that's way too much. If you are able to wait, and if you are comfortable where you are, my advice would be wait. The time will come. Another house will come, and it won't be like that.
Exactly. Okay, all right. Then the next question is from Chinmay, if I'm saying that correctly. He or she asks, does having other loans in the Netherlands or even outside of the Netherlands affect the mortgage amount?
Yes, it does affect. It depends what kind of loan as well. But I had clients that had to give up their leasing car. I had one that had to give up his cell phone contract as well. Myself, I had to give up my American Express card when we bought the first house. So it really depends what kind of a mortgage you're going to get. The only person who can tell you that is the mortgage advisor or the bank itself. But it really depends on and the way your income is on your is written on your whole payslip, and then what kind of a mortgage you're going to get. They will tell you what you need to get rid of it, but it does have a difference. And again, if you are from Italy, then it makes a huge difference. A lot of things it's not allowed to have here and there. And I know in America as well, you have to pay taxes here and in America from the house you buy here, even if you don't have anything in America. So that's something you need to check with the mortgage advisor, but it does make a difference, yes.
Okay. And how about being a set payer, so being a freelancer? Is it then possible to get a mortgage?
That is tricky, but it is possible. We had clients before that did got a mortgage like that, but you have to check with the mortgage advisor because it's a different kind of mortgage as well, with a different kind of contract. And I remember he had to work all the way around to prove that the company was, they asked, if I'm not mistaken, they asked our client to have months and months of what he did it and how much did he earn it and those kind of things. Yeah. And then he did got the mortgage, not higher as he was thinking he would have, but it is possible. It's just a bit more complicated, but with the right mortgage advisor, definitely, yeah.
Okay, cool. Then the question from Beta. Beta asks, in the current market conditions, if market value of the house is, for example, 375K, but the asking price on Funda is 400K, then 100% of bank mortgage won't cover that. How likely is it to buy the house for its market value?
No, it comes back to the appraiser, right? He will be at the house and he will make the report. If the report doesn't come with the 400, unfortunately, if you need 100% mortgage, you're not going to be able to have it. You're going to have to pay the difference by yourself. But most likely, well, there's not much companies that will put the price so high. Most likely they'll put lower to get more people coming to the houses. And that's the thing about the 4,000K as well. We had it before. I know a lot of agencies that they put the price low and then people go crazy. and then you look afterwards, they paid 40,000 euros more. But actually, the house was already worth at about 20,000 more at the first time, but they want to have so many viewers, and because the chances are that you have more offers when you have many people, so they kind of lower the price a little bit to get more people in, and then they get very higher bids.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And can you tell us a little bit about popular areas in Eindhoven to buy a house?
Popular areas, yes, I do. I can. Woensel, for example, is very popular. Blixenbox and Achterbarrière. Also, Meerhoven, super popular because of the international school. Not the international, sorry, bilingual school. It's a Dutch school that became bilingual. So a lot of people moved there, and they want houses there because of the children. Stratum is quite popular, but not only for the expats, but also for the Dutch people. They really like the neighborhood. It's an old neighborhood, historical building, so it's quite nice, and the parks around. Everything that is near to the high-tech campus is popular. People go crazy because it's easy. You can cycle everywhere. Definitely Meerhoven, definitely Woensel as well. Stripe is popular, but it's just Stripe S is very, very popular, but you need a lot of money. Apartments of 680 square meters are about 600, which is really a lot for that neighborhood, but it's just because it's exploding now. And of course, the city center. Everybody wants to live near to the city center. So those are very popular. And Veldhoven is starting to get it's going crazy because it's near to ASML, and the high-tech campus is cycling distance, so it's going quite crazy as well.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. And we have a question from Krishna, and she's asking, what is the average price increase percentage in Eindhoven from year to year? If there is any that you can give.
Yeah, there is. I could come back to you on that, but to give you precisely what it was. But I believe last year it went, even with the whole Corona thing, it went up about 9% already. And this year they're expecting higher. We are in March, and I saw something about 3 to 4% already because of the transfer taxes. People are buying, so that's something as well. People now a lot of people are buying desperately because they're gonna turn 36, and or they are buying a house that's higher than 400,000. You see, so that's why you see those 3 first months of January, February, March. March is going to be even crazier. They're going to do whatever they can to buy the houses or to move in before. We even have clients that the transfer was supposed to be in June, and they begging us, the sellers, they're letting the sellers stay in the house for free just for them to get the keys before, for them not to pay the 2% transfer taxes. So that's why you see the house market going really high now. We expected that it will maybe not going down for sure, but not going so high, slow down just a little bit after April.
All right. Let's see. We have a question from an anonymous attendee. He or she asks, what does the inspector actually check? So if there's a big obvious scratch on the surface of the door, do they also report that?
Yes, they also report that. It's I call the inspector we work with here in Eindhoven, Rob is his name. I call him annoying because sometimes we go to a house and I tell him like, there's nothing, Rob, just leave it. We are here for an hour. And he goes like, I'm going to find something, wait for it. And then that's exactly what they do. They go and every single scratch is going to be on that report. And it drives you crazy though, because it's just a scratch, but he puts everything. He's quite good. So that's something, but I believe all the technical inspectors are like that. They have an eye to look for. And in our case, in our company, I do send the technical inspector the documents of the house as well, because with that information, he will look for specifics. For example, if I see in the documents that they said that, I don't know, 5 years ago, there was a leakage in the kitchen, I immediately send to him, because then when he goes there, he will specifically look at that place with that leakage and see if everything is fine, or was fixed fine, or if everything it's properly is the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, they look at every single thing.
Better safe than sorry, I guess. All right. right, next question. Question again from an anonymous attendee. He or she asks, does that 5 gross salary rule for mortgage, is that mandatory, or might there be other options? Could it help if I pay, for example, 10% of the full amount immediately to the bank?
You can't. You just can't pay nothing immediately. Everything has to pay through the notary. As I said, it's not even legal to do that. What happens is that the bank will, you could try, you could not pay, but you could try to talk to the bank about it, but your budget will be less. That's it. They will give you a small, but if you prove to the bank that you have money in savings, that makes a difference as well. But you have to prove it. You have to be able to prove that to the bank.
Okay. All right. And what type of mortgage would you advise for a short-term purchase, 3 to 5 years?
Oh, 3 to 5 years. Well, that's quite difficult, because it really depends on your income. I can give you my experience. What we did for what me and my husband, we did it. We had an amount in mind that we want to pay monthly, and anything above that, it would be not too much, but we wouldn't be so comfortable with it. We wanted to travel more and be able to do other things. So we told our mortgage advisor, this is the amount. We're not getting above that. So he found a mortgage that would fit in that amount. So that's what we did. So it really depends on each situation. So I can't tell you which one is better for you.
I think it's best to then have a talk with
the
Robin, the mortgage advisor.
Yeah, we ended up doing half linear and half, what is the name of the other one? Do you remember the name, Ludo? Linear and there are 2 different names.
Yeah.
I forgot the name.
I forgot the name as well.
Yeah, one that you pay the interest rates first, and the other one you pay the mortgage first, and we ended up getting 50-50. We put the 2 types together to make my mortgage. You see, that's what we came up. So that's even complicated than just getting a mortgage. So, but if I was able to, I would take the NHG mortgage and not even say a word. But my house was expensive than that. I couldn't. But that would be my dream, because the interest rates are super low and it's it's just the best.
I think we have a helper in the chat as well. It's an annual.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you. Annual and linear. Yes.
Perfect.
We have
Thank you very much, Beata.
Yeah.
All right, then another question regarding a mortgage. If someone has a temporary contract, is it possible to get a mortgage?
There you go. It is. A lot of people say it isn't, but our first house, we got it with a temporary contract, actually. So a lot of people say it isn't, but it is. The thing is, they will ask you, the bank will ask you for a letter from the bank, from your company, saying that they have the intention to hire you after that period of the temporary contract. And that's what you need, actually, your BSN, and that's what you need. You take the letter to the bank, and of course there are going to be banks or institutions that will say no, but a lot of them will accept it. It happened to me. That's how we bought our first house, exactly like that. We both had temporary contracts, actually. So it's easier than you think.
Exactly, it works. Cool.
Yeah.
Then we have a question from Marco. He asks, when you buy the house, do you actually also own the land?
It depends as well. So see, here in Eindhoven, in the Eindhoven area, Noonen, you guys probably know Noonen. Noonen has a few houses where you buy the house, but you don't buy the land. You rent the land from a private person, or most likely from the government, from the city hall. But that's only in Noonen, and it's not many. They don't have many properties. But in Amsterdam, it's quite common that you buy the house and you pay a monthly fee for the land, and it looks a bit bizarre, because in the contract it comes in your purchase agreement, in your transfer deed and purchase agreement and everything, it comes that, let's say, you're going to pay 300 euros every month for 68 years. It's really like that. It comes with a long term that you're going to pay. So during those 6-8 years, you are renting the land and nobody can do anything. Of course, you can always, not always actually, but you are able to buy the land in the future maybe, but that's how it comes to the contract. But not here in Eindhoven, no, you buy with the land. If there is no land, when you will see on Funda, the first thing that will comment is, pay attention, this is only the house, not the land. But here it's almost never. I think last year we saw 2 houses like that, and never again the whole year. So it's here is not common at all. It's really common in Amsterdam. Actually, our colleague Alana, who was in the presentation, she has a house like that. She built her house in a land that she rented from the government, and she rented for like 75 years. And then afterwards, if she sells the house, she also pass the rent to the next person. It's quite bizarre. But
it can be
here.
quite expensive as well. It's getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So we have a different question regarding a possible renting out the property. Is it possible to live in the bought house and also rent out a part of it? Is it legally allowed, and does the mortgage company allow it?
Ooh, yeah, that's the question. The thing is, most likely, no. The banks don't like that you rent the house. They want you to live in the house and pay for the house. But, and about renting to someone else, if you are living in and renting for someone else, that's something else. Then it's something about which the city hall. Because if that person will register in the house, there is going to be a maximum of people who can live in the house, and then it's fine, because the house is yours. But if you cannot, for example, have 20 people registered in your house. That's not legal. So then the city hall will give you a fine, but the bank will not knock at your door and say, look, are you renting? They're not going to ask you as long as you pay your mortgage. What I always tell my clients, if you keep your bank account in the Netherlands, the Dutch one, and keep paying your mortgage, most likely they're not going to knock at your door and see if something happens, unless something do happen. But it's a yes and a no. you really need to see the situation. If you are living in the house and you're going to rent to a student, for example, you need to check with the city hall if the student will be able to register at your house. If they're not able to register, it's actually not legal. That happens a lot in Amsterdam, and they have a lot of problems with that.
Yeah, so watch out with it then.
Yeah.
Let's see, another question from Marco. Is it possible to buy the land, and is it then cheaper to build a house on it? So buying land and building a house instead of just...
Yes, it's possible to buy a land. To build a house, it's something else. It is possible as well. Don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, for example, is quite easy to make a project and just build a house, and that's it. In the Netherlands is a nightmare. You need literally a permission even to choose the brick you're going to use in your house. You're not allowed to choose it. And the house...
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. So the house can also be, it has to be in a position that the city hall will tell you, because if you have neighbors, you cannot cut their son or something like that. It's super difficult. And that I think you can even pass that, because you ended up you get an agreement. But you probably know by now, services in the Netherlands, construction, those kind of things are super expensive. So unless you are willing to pay all of that and deal with all the rules, you cannot even do it yourself. You need certified people to ask for all the permits. You have to pay engineers and architects. We had to pay just to renovate the house for some parts, because we had to. The city hall wouldn't allow it. So it's if you're willing to go for it, I wish you best of luck. But
if you have some free time, then
yeah, I know a lot of people who did it though, but it can give you a headache.
All right, and then down to our last 3 questions, or actually last 2 questions. Question from Andre: do you also assist clients in Den Bosch or only in Eindhoven?
I do in Den Bosch, actually. We delivered, my client got the keys for her apartment last November. A beautiful one near to the big lake over there in Den Bosch. Yes. We do. The whole Netherlands, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just because I am here in Eindhoven, but we do. So then boss will be me as well. But we have people that can help everywhere.
Exactly. Cool. And then our last question is, where can I find your fixed fees?
Oh, it's in
Can you
our web.
share?
I
Yeah.
can share it, of course. Yeah, I can share it, but it's also on our website, and then you can see which every
Packages and
every
stuff.
package and what is included. But we charge for the smart package. We call it's the package where you don't see me in the viewings, for example. You go by yourself, you make your appointments, you go by yourself to the viewings, and afterwards, if you like the house, you let me know. This is quite a lie though, because I'm gonna always ask if you before you go, I'm gonna ask you to tell me when you go, and just for me to know. But you would tell me afterwards if you like to bid for the house or not, and then if you do, then I will ask all the documents. I try even ask before you go to the house, so we have a bit more information that I can share with you, so when you're there you know what you're looking for. I check all the documents and I prepare the offer, make the client profile, do everything with you, but I'm not there in person. We talk most of the time online, and most likely I'll be there for the last inspection only, and then to go, but I'll walk with you through the whole process. That's how it works for the smart package. And when you have, and that package costs 1,999. And when you have the full service, the full package, I'm there all the time. You're gonna see me as long as you have viewings. You're going to see me. And price research, everything, offer, everything is going to be done, and that package costs 4,799. And for both package, as I told you before, there's no timeline for that. There's no maximum viewings or offers or whatever. We are stick together until you get home. And what we ask for it is a deposit of 199 to start the process. To start the process, and then afterwards you only pay us when you get your keys in the notary. So if it takes you 3 months to get your keys, you pay us in 3 months. If it takes you a year, believe me, I have clients that have waited for 9 months to get their keys because they like the house so much. You only pay us when you have to pay all your everything for the house, all the expenses in the notary. That's when you ended up paying us. Yep. Okay. But you can see in our website, you can see which everything that includes in each package. And again, if you have any questions about the package as well, you have my email in this presentation, and you can always ask me.
Exactly. And the presentation will of course be shared.
Yes.
In around 1 week, I think.
I think it's even less, though. I think it's about a few days that we will ask for the presentation and the video. Yeah, I think in about 2 or 3 days max.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's it. No more questions left.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. It was a pleasure. I hope that the next time I can see you, because I cannot see you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ludo, for helping me out. And I wish you, everyone, a very nice evening. And I hope to see you soon. If you have questions, let me know. And good luck with your searching. Yeah, when finding your house. Oh, there's one question. Do I see it?
It's a thank you.
Oh, okay. Nice. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.